As we look ahead in American culture, speaking about this same subject, it seems as if things are getting more and more hostile to biblical Christianity. The Puritans, of course, dealt with persecution, they dealt with hostility. For us as American Christians, how can we begin to prepare for the persecution that may very well be coming?
Well, I think we have to anticipate it. Whatever vestiges of Judeo-Christian ethics or whatever vestiges of Christianity were still in the culture have been evacuated. They're gone. I wouldn't even call this a postmodern culture. I would call it a pre-Christian culture. Pre-Christian. This is like paganism 2.0.
Okay,
it's as if Jesus never came.
Yep.
It's as if there never was a cross and a resurrection and a New Testament and a church and a Bible. This is like Rome or like Molech worship or Baal worship. This is blatant paganism. And it is a kind of paganism that has levers to control everything with the control of the technology and social media. What the current zeitgeist in the world hates most is the truth. I'll give you an illustration. We won our case with the COVID lockdowns with the county and the city. There were 12 different hearings that they set up for us. The judge in our case was a man married to a man.
So-called married.
Yeah. But he wasn't any ally of ours, that's what I'm saying. So, and yet, he kept postponing the 12 times. He postponed the case because he says, until you guys settle the First Amendment issue, we can't go to the merits of this case. So he kept pushing it back to the Constitution. Finally, in frustration, because I was being given a jail sentence every week and a fine, and they were all mounting and accumulating. And finally, our attorney said we want to depose the health department. We want to depose the top 3 officials in the LA Health Department. Our lawsuit was against the governor of the state, the county, and all of that. So we said we're going to depose the health officials. In 24 hours, they dropped all charges, all fees, all fines, and paid all legal bills, almost to $1 million. Because the one thing they couldn't cope with was the truth. And that's the truth about COVID. They could not let that out. So they're trying to control everything to sustain the narrative. They don't even want you to, they don't want, the governor just is in the process of signing in California a bill that would basically say if you're a medical doctor in California and you go against the current narrative, you can lose your license. So they're trying to control everything. If they want to control those kinds of things, then how much welcome will they give to the truth of Scripture? Virtually nothing. So I think it's a short step from controlling narratives about political issues and social issues and structural issues and education and medicine and whatever, to shutting down the spiritual and the biblical. So I think that's coming. And that's going to be fish or cut bait, right? That's going to be, you're going to have to pick sides then. You're either going to be faithful or you're going to compromise. I saw this week that one church opened up after 900 days of being closed. That's rolling over in a pretty extreme way. But I think we're going to, the evangelical church, the faithful biblical church, is going to very soon become the target because we don't accept anything. Vanderbilt Hospital has a gender reassignment surgery, big part of their operation. You may have seen about it. They will brutalize, they will maim young girls and young boys. And the head of the hospital, as a video, basically said, anybody on the staff who doesn't agree with that, get another job. And then they hired a bunch of homosexual advocates to go with every child that comes in to talk to a physician. They send an activist so that the doctor can't talk the child out of having their breasts cut off. This is a hospital that's a historic medical school. I just don't know in a culture like that where Christianity becomes anything but the arch enemy of everything. Of everything. And I think, we've had a couple of hundred years in America when it's been different than most of history and most of the world.
That's right. That's right.
But we're there.
Yep.
This is a pagan country. And they don't want to be confronted with biblical truth. And there's going to be some price to pay. I'm confident of that. We have to be ready for that, and we have to be faithful. And then we have the joy of watching the hand of God and providence do what it's going to do. And the end has already been written, and the Lord will triumph. This country is now ruled by fear. And when people are afraid, they want somebody to protect them and help them. The primary fear from all that I can see is physical death, physical health, safety, physical well-being. And now you've got the medical profession turned on its head, where they want to kill your baby in your womb, or they want to act like Frankenstein on your 13-year-old. Or they want to withhold medication when you go to the hospital because Big Pharma controls them. So when you're living in a materialistic environment like this, where everything comes down to protecting your physical well-being, and television is like 1,000 commercials in a row for medication, but the whole medical world is now under the control of people who want to do evil and have no compunctions about killing. And if you think that's odd, remember, I saw the latest statistics that 71 million people were killed through World War II. In what world do you kill 71 million people? And they were largely killed, with the exception of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the A-bombs. They were largely killed by bombs that could kill hundreds, but mostly by guns that killed one at a time. So this is an evil world, and it has a massive capacity to kill and maim, because its father is a killer and a liar. So I think cultural protections have been pulled away. We're now where the early church was. I said, Governor Newsom is Herod. He wants to make sure he goes through this state and kills all the little ones. And he will be reelected here. And people can't make the connection that if he's willing to kill all the little ones in the womb and maim people, do you think he cares about you? So this is like paganism 2.0 to me. So we have to expect to have the level of hostility that paganism gives when it dominates a culture, and Christianity is the most severe threat that it faces. Jesus said it this way. He said, "The world hates me because I tell them their deeds are evil. And if they hated me, they'll hate you." If you stop telling them how wonderful they are, if you stop the sentimental slop that you hear from Joel Osteen and the prosperity preachers, and you tell them their deeds are evil and they are in need of Jesus Christ and He alone who can save them from eternal hell, they'll hate you. And that hate is going to show up in the same kinds of hostility that has been characteristic of other periods of time and other places. So this is a really, I was saying the other day to somebody, this is a hard time to be a post-millennialist. This is not going that direction, from what I can tell. But it's also a terribly hard time to be a pragmatist. How do you win this world? You want the world to like you? You want the world to come to your church? You want to turn your church into a rock concert? And you want to turn yourself into some kind of slick sort of comedian, TED Talk guy? Because you want everybody to like you and you want to win the world, you want to reach the world. You connect with this world, this culture, it'll drag you to the bottom. They're not going to be content just to take your music. They're going to want to take they're going to take everything. So you're going to wind up with having to affirm homosexuality, transgenderism, divorce, adultery, you name it, because that's their life. So pragmatism worked ostensibly, superficially, obviously not genuinely, but it's mega churches flourished in becoming as much like the world as they could. This is a hard time to pull that off, because you almost have to undo everything. If you're going to keep that relationship alive, you can't tell the truth. But if you tell the truth, you can't sustain it. So, but this is the time for the faithful to stand up, right? And I read the end of the book, and we win.